Welcome to today's episode of the AI Trailblazer podcast. Today we have a very exciting guest. He is none other than Adrian, the co-founder and CEO at EmailSmart. So Adrian, it's a pleasure to have you here with us on the call today. Let's start off with yourself. What is your background and what led you to start EmailSmart?
Thanks, Bruce. It's great to be here today. Really appreciate the invitation. I've been an IT geek since about 7 years of age. I grew up in a time when computers weren't really the thing. My dad brought one home for work. I ended up teaching him how to use it, and it's all gone on from there. So all through my early career, I was involved in tech things around IT, telecoms. And then a bit over 15 years ago, I had a few changes in my life, and that was a good good reason to get out of the corporate rat race. And I found something that I could do that helped me build my own business. So at that point, I got into the world of email marketing and had some good mentors and helped people create campaigns using software like Infusionsoft as it was then, and ActiveCampaign and other platforms. And one of the things that I realized fairly early on in that career was people struggled to get their emails delivered to their audience. Even back in kind of 2011, 2012, Microsoft in particular was making it very difficult for marketers to get their emails delivered into the inbox. And I found that I was losing clients because they didn't like the fact that you couldn't just send email out and it got there as if by magic. It didn't work like that. So I spent a lot of time researching how to get emails, how to get more emails seen by more people. And by about 2015, I'd written some software because things were very different back then. There's been a lot of change in the last 10 or 15 years. And back then, the main thing that determined whether an email that got through was actually the server that it was being sent from. So I wrote some emails to almost reroute the emails from Infusionsoft to another server, and suddenly the emails that Infusionsoft was sending to the spam folder landed in the inbox when my software was used. So I had a lot of success for most of the next 5, 6, 7 years using that software. And that was how my first SaaS business grew. So I focused less and less on being a marketing automation consultant, focused more on building the software side of the business. And then I've really done my best. During that time, I met Evan, who's my co-founder of Email Smart. He's based in Las Vegas. I'm in the UK. So we don't spend that much time together, apart from online and things like that. Evan had independently built his own expertise in getting emails delivered. So between the two of us, we came at it from different directions. Evan with the consulting side, me with the software side. And that's how Email Smart was born, because things have changed a lot and they're still changing now. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. But as the demand for my original software started to decline, then I've created other bits of software. I've created other tools and programs and training and consulting with Evan, because we're really devoted to helping businesses get as many emails as possible seen by their audience. And that's what we still do today. And there's different software that I'm sure I'll mention in more detail.
Yeah, exactly. Now I would like to touch more on Email Smart itself. What is the main problem that it's trying to solve, especially with regards to email deliverability, and then how does it help to solve that problem?
Okay, perfect. So I guess our biggest challenge is that we solve a problem that most people don't even realize they have. So that makes it very difficult to start a conversation, and we'll come back to that. Because what most people don't realize is it doesn't matter how good your email copy is, it doesn't matter how big your audience is, it doesn't matter how good your offer is. If people aren't seeing your emails, then they're not going to come to your webinars, they're not going to buy your stuff.
Exactly.
It's actually the way you send the emails has much more of an impact on that than people realize. So most businesses, they'll be sending lots of emails, they won't be getting particularly good open rates, and they won't be getting good engagement from their audience. So we have learned how to actually monitor how well businesses are managing their email platforms, how well they're sending emails. We can give people suggestions on how to improve that. And then to make it easier to send the right emails to the right people at the right time, then that's how my Email Smart Pro Tools software came to light, because that automates a lot of that process. So the main purpose of that now is to help people understand where they're at right now, and it can say you are doing this well, but most people are doing better than you, so we can give an idea of how much room for improvement there is. And then the Pro Tools software will then go on and it helps you automatically manage your engagement, manage your audience, optimize your email list so that you're sending the right emails to the right people. And also, more importantly, so you stop sending emails to people that are actually hurting your reputation. Because most people believe that their email list is an asset, because that's what we're taught, is that our email list is one of our biggest assets. But if you're not managing it in the right way, and if you're sending emails to the wrong people, then actually that email list is more likely to be a liability. So we can help people understand, well, what are the parts of an email list that make it into a liability, how to remove those, and how to maximize the assets on the list, and how to stop those assets turn into liabilities.
Right. So this does sound a bit more to me like email marketing, like managing the list. Does this help with like cold email as well? Let's say you're sending emails to cold prospects. Does it also help in that aspect of improving the deliverability? And then I also had like a follow-up question, like what is your exact target audience you're trying to help?
Okay. So cold email is a very different animal to sending warm opt-in emails. And there's two very different ways of handling that. When I got into the email marketing world back in 2011, 2012, then even though people didn't do the way I'm about to describe, then the way I was always taught was you never buy email lists, you never send unsolicited emails to people, you only reach out to them via adverts or word of mouth or joint ventures, you get their consent to email them, and then you follow up from there. Whereas cold email is very much getting hold of appropriate email addresses of people that you want to reach out to, and then sending them very targeted, very carefully worded emails designed to get them to engage with you when they've never heard from you before. So the two work very differently. And because I've focused a lot on opt-in based emails, then I see that as much easier than cold emails. But other people that specialize in cold emails obviously find that works really well. But the rules that apply to opt-in based emails make it difficult to get cold emails through, because from Google, Microsoft, and Yahoo's perspective, then they're looking for people to send with permission, and they're looking for people who are getting good responses from their audience. Now, the risk with cold email, of course, is that if someone's never heard of you before and they don't like the email that you send, then they might report you for spam. And the more people that do that, obviously, the more likely your reputation is to get damaged. And Google in particular, they've made it very clear that if you get more than 3 spam complaints per 1,000 emails you send out, they're going to block your email sending for good. So it means that you've got to go through a lot more of a careful process when you're sending cold emails, because you can get excellent results with it, but it's very much a low-level targeted process. Whereas with the opt-in based marketing emails, you can send to thousands, tens, or even hundreds of thousands of people, and they will get through very effectively. So the principles around monitoring your reputation are still very similar, because there's a tool called Google Postmaster Tools, and that will tell you what Google thinks of your sending reputation. And whether you're sending cold emails or whether you're sending opt-in based emails, it's vital that you monitor that. Because if Google says that your reputation is going to go from high down to medium, then that's like sending a warning shot across your bows saying, if you carry on sending the mails in the way that you are now, then you might get blocked at some point. If the reputation goes down from medium to low, then it's likely that most of the emails that you send to your Google audience are going to land in the spam folder straight away. And if the reputation goes from low down to bad, which is the bottom of the 4 email reputations that they have, then none of your emails are going to get through. And I've had clients come to me where they were getting a 0.2% open rate from their Google audience because they damaged their reputation so bad that Google said, no, we don't trust you. We don't think your content is good enough. We aren't going to deliver your emails. So there's very different rules in some ways, because you can, as you know yourself, you can very effectively get cold emails to the right people in the audience, but you do have to be careful. If you try sending 5,000 cold emails in one day to a group of people, then there's more risk of things going wrong than if you send 5,000 warm opt-in based emails. But obviously the two approaches work very well, and it's understanding that the cold email approach is for finding and creating conversations with new contacts that you want to start having conversations with. The warm marketing to contacts that are opted in, that's all about nurturing a relationship and continuing things, because sometimes it can take 12, 15, even 20 touch points before someone's ready to buy from you. You need to sometimes educate them, you need them to learn. So really, it's about understanding which approach is right. Some people use both. Some people only use cold email marketing. Some people only use warm opt-in based. And there's never any right and wrong. It's understanding what is the best solution for your particular scenario. If you're selling products or services that have quite a high value and it's reasonably easy to sell them from a couple of conversations, then cold email in particular works really well. If it's something that's a bit more commoditized, or if it's something where, in my case with Email Smart, we have to help people understand why they need it before they're even ready for a conversation. So in those cases, we need to do quite a lot of kind of warm up emails to build the relationship and to help people understand why they need help before we can actually do something. So for us, cold email has historically not worked. Now you might be able to turn that round, but for other people, it works really well. And we've worked with clients who've used cold email successfully, and then also use that beyond there to actually then also have a warm opt-in based email marketing platform. We've also worked with people who've used cold email badly. They've sent badly worded, badly planned emails to a big audience and really hurt their reputation, and we've had to help them rebuild things as well. So no matter what form of email you send, it's possible to damage your reputation so things don't get through, but equally it's also possible to repair things as
Right, exactly. So earlier you touched on some of the differences in the warm email versus cold email practices. Could you share like what are some of the best practices when it comes to sending emails to a warm email list that everyone should follow to ensure that
certainly.
their deliverability isn't going down?
Yeah. So the reason that we called our business email smart is because smart actually stands for something. So the S is start smart, then shift your thinking. M is manage your reputation. A is authenticate your emails. R is raise your reputation. And T is transform your content. And if we focus on shift your thinking quickly, I've already touched on that. It's understand that your list could be a liability if you're not sending in the right way. The M for manage your reputation is crucial. I've mentioned Google Postmaster tools already. The A for authenticate your email. Now, at the start of last year, in early 2024, Google and Yahoo announced some new rules where you have to set up DKIM, SPF, and DMARC to authenticate your emails. That's vital. And then the R is raise your reputation. And this is the most important bit along with manage your engagement. People are very scared to let go of email addresses that don't respond. Because again, going back to the whole perception that your email list is an asset, then if people haven't opened your emails for 30 days or more, the likelihood is they will never open them again. So at that point, I will quote my
Also, they don't
favorite.
clean their email list.
Yeah, absolutely. Back in 2012, people used to build the biggest email list they can and then just keep emailing everyone on that list until they buy it, they die, or they unsubscribe. And if you do that now in 2025, then Google are going to get very upset with you. You'll have low open rates because the reason that Google and Yahoo make money from email is through adverts. And if you send emails that don't get opened, you're not helping Google make money. So Google are going to favor the people that get high open rates. And the way you get high open rates is to only mail the people that have opened something recently. If you mail lots of people that haven't opened anything for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, those people aren't going to open and you'll get low open rates. And
Right.
with Apple, when they brought out Apple's mail privacy protection with iOS 15, where Apple now preload all the images in email, it looks like people are opening your emails even though they might not be. So that means that you're going to get higher open rates than are reality. And if in the current climate you're seeing email open rates of less than 50%, probably not managing your engagement well enough, and you're probably sending emails to too many people that have already given up on you or aren't seeing your emails and aren't opening. So it really is important to go through and clean your email list regularly and make sure that not only are you removing all the people that have unsubscribed or the emails have bounced or you've had spam complaints or whatever, but you also need to remove the people that haven't opened for more than, sometimes it's less than 30 days, but 30 days is a good goal to aim for. And just don't mail those people if they haven't opened anything in the last 30 days.
Right, makes sense. So who would be the typical folks that you work with for Email Smart? Is it the marketing agencies? Who are the people that come and look for a solution?
So we've got two slightly different offers. And we have got one for marketing agencies where they can monitor the performance of all of their different clients in one dashboard. And then they can use our Pro Tools software within that to help them optimize the lists. For people that just manage their own email, then that is our other the focus. And for those people, then the Pro Tools software helps you understand where you're at, and then obviously manage the optimization and identify the right people that you should be mailing. And those people, it could almost be anyone that does warm permission-based email marketing, but I guess over the years we've found that we have the most success with people whose email lists are a few thousand or bigger, up to maybe, we've got one client with more than 1 million contacts on their email list. Uh, the service industry, online training, online education, personal development, those are the areas that work best. But we work with people doing e-commerce websites. We've worked with traditional bricks and mortar businesses. Anyone that's using email to either generate leads and nurture those leads, or get people to come to events or webinars or sell online, then we can help any of those people, because if they're not managing their email list as well as they could already, then it's possible to double the performance without having to generate any new leads.
Yeah, makes sense. So now I would like to talk a bit more about your role within the company as the co-founder and CEO. What are your main responsibilities, and then how does that fit into the bigger picture at EmailSmart?
So this has evolved a lot over the years. It took me a long time to learn the lesson that I can't do everything. And it's reached the point now, and obviously some of this, if you're just starting up, then you can't suddenly go and build a team of 10 people unless you've got lots of funding and things like that. And we've never got external funding. It's always been bootstrapped. So we've had to build everything from scratch. So in the early days, then I was doing a lot of everything. I was writing the software, I was doing the marketing, and I'd help doing customer service and support, but a lot of it was down to me. The team has grown slowly, so now we've got about 6 or 7 people. Either some of them are full-time employees, and we've got some people working through a separate consultancy that I work with, and so now I've got a lead developer who does most of the software, which is great because that means that I can focus more on strategic side of things. And then we've got customer care, we've got a fulfillment and implementation sorted. The one thing that we're still working on is the marketing side of things, but that's where I've found that, I'm sure we'll talk about what's changing in the business. But AI has made it so much easier for me to work on the marketing side of the business than the past. And we're looking at AI in lots of different ways. But my focus now really is on how can we grow the business from a revenue point of view, and focusing a lot more strategically than I used to make sure that we're still fine tuning the offer and the software that we've got, and making sure that we're going out to the right people and finding better ways to raise awareness as much as anything. Because as I mentioned, if someone understands they've got a problem, they'll come to us and we'll solve their problem. But that's a very small percentage of the world that send marketing emails. So we're still, 5 years on, we're still working out what is the best and most effective way to reach people. And again, with a bit of help of the AI, then we have actually found more effective ways already, and we're working on.
Yeah, okay. Let's dive a bit deeper into some of these areas that you mentioned. First off, regarding your goal of increasing the revenue and spreading awareness, what has been your plan or strategy to try and achieve some of these goals?
We've done a lot of testing over the last few years, and we've learnt the hard way that Facebook ads haven't worked. We've learnt that doing things on Google adverts and AdWords hasn't worked. Cold emails hasn't worked. The thing that's
Why do
worked
you think
best,
these channels haven't worked?
I think the main reason is because, as I mentioned earlier on, it's very difficult to get a message out in such a way that people will actually pay attention. I think most people don't realize that they could be getting much better performance from their emails, and they think, well, I just want to get a few more leads and I want to make a few more sales. I'm just going to double my Facebook ad spend, and I'm not going to bother optimizing my email. So finding the people that understand that email optimization is a thing and that they've got a lot of potential to make improvements is difficult. The best success we've had have been where we've run joint ventures. So there might be someone else who's got an audience of people that meet our ideal target. So there might be someone, there might be an email marketing mastermind or a business mastermind where lots of people already use email, and then either Evan or myself are invited to present a webinar or a training or something like that to that group of people. We'll have an hour of our time to take them through why everything matters, why it's
Mhm.
important, how to solve the problems, and from there we get good results. So up until now, then that's been the best. But again, we're working on. We've tested different ways to raise awareness now. and we're about to test a new way of finding people, which is more of a quiz-based platform, because our belief and the results we've seen so far are showing that if we're asking people about where they're at and then giving them feedback, then firstly, there's less of a barrier to asking people to take a quiz if it's only going to take a couple of minutes. And secondly, by giving them the questions that we've come up with, it gets them thinking already, and they start to realize, oh, maybe I could be doing better than I am, and things like that. So it's frustrating that we didn't come up with that as a plan sooner. But if we can prove that the quiz works with joint ventures where other people will ask their audience to take the quiz, we might be ready to test things like Facebook ads, Google ads again. Not sure whether cold email would drive people to a quiz. That's something that maybe we could have a chat about. But again, there's plenty of things that we can test. But the challenge I face, as I mentioned earlier, my original deliverability software from 2015, the revenue has dropped quite a lot with that over the last couple of years, because the other main shift is that Google and Yahoo and Microsoft don't care which server sends the emails anymore. The only thing they're looking at is the domain that the emails are sent from, and the reputation is tied to that domain. So, one thing to bear in mind there is if you're sending cold emails that might have a greater risk to your email reputation than operational emails or marketing emails, then it makes sense to separate those domains out, because if your cold email temporarily hurts your reputation, you don't want that stopping your ability to reach your customers or your warm leads and things like that.
Yeah, we always use other accounts for cold
Absolutely.
emails, other
Yeah.
domains, not the main ones.
So, so there's plenty of opportunity, but it has been frustrating up until now. But at least, it looks like we're starting to turn another corner, and we're starting to see signs of growth where things have been fairly flat for the last year or so.
Yeah, makes sense. So now I would like to touch a bit on some of your goals, let's say for the next 6 to 12 months. Where do you want Email Smart to be at?
So interestingly, we don't have financial goals per se. We don't even have a particular target in the number of new leads, number of sales we want to make right now. I think right now the main focus really is to improve profitability, because at the moment we're still making enough to cover our costs every month, but we were highly profitable 1-2 years ago. That's flattened right down as revenues have dropped. So main thing really is we don't want to invest additional money that isn't going to convert leads. So I guess the main target right now is to carefully grow and test without losing more money than we're spending at the moment. From there, once we've got a particular strategy that works and we can prove it works, that's when we're then going to start investing in traffic and lead generation that way. Joint ventures is still the current focus, because that is easier, because obviously with a joint venture, because we pay commission on sales, there's nothing to pay up front there. Whereas as soon as you look at other forms of traffic generation like Facebook ads, Google AdWords, things like that, you're paying regardless of whether someone actually buys your software or not. So we don't want to go too far down there. But at the moment, the number of customers we've got is in the low hundreds. We would like to probably double that in the next 6 to 12 months, if not more.
Okay, got it. So when you say that the profitability has dropped over the last couple of years, and then you say that's because of Google and Yahoo and Microsoft, them changing their email rules, right? What have been some of the steps that your company has been taking to try and adapt and stay abreast in this ever-changing climate of email marketing?
Yeah, it has been tough. We had to let some team members go because at one point we reached the point where our costs were higher than our revenues. So that was a difficult time. And in the UK employment laws, it actually costs quite a lot of money to let people go, because there's mandatory severance payments and things like that. So that was a tough time, because obviously we're a small business, and the people that worked with us, they became personal friends as well as employees. So that was a difficult conversation. And then from there, it has been evolving. And it's a good time to touch on the use of AI in email, because one of the big changes now that everyone needs to be aware of and understand this is a potential threat is it is too easy to create marketing emails using AI now. There's nothing to stop everyone sending 1 or 2 emails per day to their audience just by using simple AI tools. Even ChatGPT can create excuse me, even ChatGPT can create mediocre marketing emails. It's still very important to make sure that the content that you create is relevant and well worded and engaging. But more than ever, as an email marketer, your goal has to be much more seen, get your emails more seen than in the past, because the level of noise is increasing. The volumes of emails are going up. So it's vital that if you're going to send emails out, they've got to stand out somehow. And using AI to create mediocre emails is great, but they've got to be good emails, because otherwise they're just going to go into my own email is growing. And I used to get dozens and dozens of emails a day. Now I'm probably up into the hundreds of emails a day, and I can't and won't read all of them. So it is important to make sure that the emails are standing out. But from our perspective, then, by coming across one of my business mentors has created some really strong custom GPTs and things like that are a lot more business focused, a lot more messaging focused. And they have been transformational, because that's actually how we came up with the idea of testing the quiz. I have trained the AI with all of our content and our training, our strategies over the last 5 or 6 years, all the transcripts we've uploaded, and we spend a lot of time training that, so that my own chat GPT with its memory now is actually capable of coming out with things like the quiz questions. It helps us tweak them, not only to use the content that we've got but to actually ask the questions in such a way that it is kind of seeding the thinking and the pain in people's minds. So I think if people aren't using AI now, then there's a much greater risk of being left behind than there was, because from my perspective, I don't need to hire a marketing person. I can get the AI to do 80% of the work, and then I'm just adding my own experience, my own knowledge into what we're doing. And suddenly, rather than it taking weeks and weeks to create a bunch of nurture emails and emails designed to take them from one particular quiz outcome to the next step to the next step, we can do that in a few days. So it's much easier to create emails now, and it's much easier to tailor them to what you learn about your audience as well. And I think that's something that's going to become more and more important, is to make the emails you're sending relevant to what you know about people. Because in the past, I'll use the pet shop analogy. A pet shop could just send one email to all its people with its offers in it. Whereas nowadays it would need to send email to the dog lovers, and then separately the cat lovers, and then separately the people like rabbits and guinea pigs. A dog lover isn't going to want to read an email about a cat. So it's about making sure that the emails that you're sending are about they
Probably
leverage.
segmentation as well, like to
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
relevant people.
But it's much stronger segmentation than ever before, I think, is what I'm saying. Because in the past it might be 4 or 5 categories, but now the way we're segmenting is on what we know. We talk a lot about visibility and what's the risk of visibility. How likely is it that people aren't going to see your emails? And if you're high risk, then you need to take action now. If you're low risk, then you still need to do something, but it's different. So we're segmenting based on the risk level. We're segmenting based on their email list size. We're based on whether they want to invest or not. We're segmenting on whether they want to actually connect their email platform up or just be given general advice. So we're finding out as much as we can. And I think that ultimately we're going to have about 16 or 17 different segments that we're going to be sending automated emails to, based on the different things that we know. So I guess a big change is be a lot more aware of your audience than you ever were. And this is where AI can help, because it can create different nuances to the emails that you already send.
Yeah, I wanted to circle back to a point you made earlier regarding the marketing strategy of Email Smart. You said that right now you rely a lot on this joint partners and joint ventures, and before you invested into any new marketing channel, you need to see, I think, some ROI from it first. So can you
Yes.
share like what are the metrics that you use to gauge whether a marketing channel is successful?
Yeah, it's a tough one, because sometimes there's quite a long lead time between generating the lead and making the sale, particularly if we have to educate people first. So we have to get better at doing this ourselves. So I'm going to describe what we're aspiring to, but this is one of those perfect examples of do what I say, not what I do right now, because it's the usual that the cobbler always has the worst shoes. Excuse me. What we are aiming to do now is get much better at tracking our lead sources. So when someone comes into, at the moment we still use Keep, formerly Infusionsoft, as our email marketing platform, and that's very good at tracking the lead sources. So once we know where the leads have come from, if we're sending, if we're going to be using Facebook ads or Google ads or something like that, then we will need to track how much we spent on that particular channel and how many leads we've got in, and then we'll track the progress of those leads over a 1 month, 3 month period. And until we're making more revenue, ideally more profit, but we'll start with revenue, Until we're making more revenue than we've spent on that channel, then it's not a success. But we can't decide that in a week. We have to monitor that for at least a month, 2 months, 3 months. If we can get to the point where after 3 months, then the amount of sales that we've made is consistently outstripping what we're spending on the lead generation, then that's deemed to be a success. We see that as positive ROI.
Got it. Yeah, so I think you've touched on quite a couple of different challenges at this point, be it when it comes to the marketing side of things, or the profitability, or even some of the latest trends or shifts in the industry when it comes to email marketing. So I was wondering, like, let's say if hypothetically, if you had a magic wand to fix one thing in the business right now that is really hindering you from achieving your goals, what would that one thing be?
Yeah, I think Magic Wand is definitely around getting a stronger, more consistent revenue flow. New leads buying software for the first time, because we do have a great retention rate. The only time people leave normally is if they're moving to a platform that we can't support. So we have spent time investing in the software so we can support more email platforms than we used to. If we can get more new leads, learning more, buying more, then that would be utopia for me.
And then is your plan to get there just through more joint ventures, joint partnerships right now?
So right now, that's the primary strategy for sure, because we don't have much spare cash. We can't invest a lot in upfront paid for lead gen. Whereas obviously with joint ventures, then if we I guess my dream right now would be if we could get Gary Vaynerchuk to suddenly promote us to all of his people interested in business, then that would be a dream, because suddenly that's a very well known person with a very large audience all sending our quiz out to someone, something like that, because obviously then we'd be very happy to pay Gary V massive commission if we made lots of sales, but it doesn't cost us anything on the front end. So right now that's the main focus, but I definitely do also want to at least have some small scale tests on things like Facebook ads, Google ads, just to see whether that is more effective than in the past when we didn't have such a effective front end lead magnet.
Okay, got it. Yeah, now sort of the final portion I would like to touch on is really the trends itself, like in the email marketing space, what have been some of the latest trends that you're seeing, and then how should email marketers adapt to these changes?
Okay. So the last few years has become really tough for email marketers. I've got some people that have used email marketing for years saying, I'm giving up, I'm not going to bother. Because Google, Yahoo, Microsoft in particular are starting to really penalize people that aren't following best practice. And the filtering gets stronger and tougher every year. We're recording this at the start of September, so we're only a couple of months away from Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And every year, Black Friday gets more and more difficult to get the offers out, because Google in particular gets really aggressive in the month before Black Friday. And the way to get around that is really to become a lot more obsessive than ever about managing your engagement and really dial back on the people that you're sending to. So, as I said earlier, if people haven't opened your emails in the last 30 days, then now is the time on the lead up to Black Friday to try and just reactivate those people and say, hey, are you still there? Do you want to receive my stuff still? If they don't respond, then when you're running a promo or when Black Friday is happening, then really cut back to the people that have only opened emails recently, maybe even 14 days for the duration of a promo, because that way then you'll get higher open rates and Google will think, hey, this person is sending out good content. Whereas if you're sending out a typical launch offer or a typical flash sale, something like that for Black Friday, there's going to be a whole sequence of emails, and if people aren't interested, they're going to stop
So what
opening
sort of
partway
matrix
through.
do you think is good for marketers to have like a guidance around, like let's say in terms of the open rates, the click rates, the engagement rates?
Yeah,
What would be good
so
numbers?
aim for as high rate as possible. Open rates you want to see above 50% consistently, and if it's not consistently above 50% opens, then you need to dial back on the people that you're sending to and start to exclude the people where it's the longest time since they've opened. And then click rates, that very much depends on your content and your call to action and what you're and what you're offering to people. But it's possible to get 2, 3, 4% click rates if everything else lines up. And if you're getting a less than 1% click rate, then something's wrong at that point. It's either the wrong audience, the wrong offer, or maybe people just aren't seeing the emails in the first place. And then really it's just about be obsessive about minimizing the people you're emailing to, because this is where I always mention Einstein's definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing, expecting different results. If someone hasn't opened any of your emails that you're sending for the last 30 days, why are they suddenly going to open it on day 31 or 32? Because Google in particular, they will monitor what each individual person is doing. And if you're on my email list and you don't open anything for a few weeks or even a month, then Google will say, oh, Bruce doesn't like Adrian's emails anymore, so I'm going to start putting them into the spam folder. And once they're in the spam, then they're gone forever. So it's vital to notice when your audience is disengaging and try and wake them back up and reel them back in as soon as possible. Something that I've not had time to talk about today is what I call the point of no return, where you can look at an email list and say, well, after how many days will people stop opening forever? And sometimes that's as low as 14 or 15 days. Sometimes it's 30 something days, but every audience is different. So try to understand how soon do people tail off your email list, and then try and reactivate them sooner before it's too late.
And then also try to remove them once they are past this point
Absolutely.
of no return.
Once they're gone, I haven't said this for a while, but you watch the Disney Frozen movie and listen to the song Let It Go.
Good. So like when it comes to AI generated emails, have you seen any trends around that? Like how have Google or other spam filters been reacting to it?
I think the challenge you've got is that particularly, and this is why tools like Claude and other systems are better. ChatGPT in particular, it's very easy to see if a ChatGPT has written an email. There's certain traits, the types of wording is a little bit too sycophantic sometimes. They always use M dashes as well.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the first things I always suggest to people is instruct your AI to never use the M dash, because it crops up everywhere and it's just a
It's such a
blatant
clear giveaway.
tell that that you've used AI. And obviously Google have got their own AI, so AI can definitely detect traits of AI emails. So it's always worth making sure that if you get AI to create 100 emails from you, you need to spend a little bit of time tweaking each one to make sure it still sounds like you and it doesn't look like it's obviously been written by AI. But used in the right way, AI is amazing, and I'm excited about the potential, in my case, to get the AI to almost replace some of the support and training that we do, where we'll get to the point where we can see all the data inside someone's email platform and the AI will tell them what they need to do next. It won't be me or a member of my team telling people.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so that brings us to the conclusion of the podcast, Adrian. I think it was a very insightful and engaging conversation. I hope you feel the same. And
Very
again,
much.
thank you for your time and for sharing these valuable insights with our audience. It was a pleasure
Pleasure.
to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Bruce. Really appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. Cheers.